Hey everyone, Tony Chips here from Chiappetta Shoes. This is Workshop Live. Today we have a rheumatoid arthritis patient. A lot of stuff going on the metatarsal heads, and we have an F23 foot type. She has a very flat, flexible foot, but a really nice rear foot structure, nice and even in the heel, a lot of flexibility in the arch and the forefoot. So we got a lot of things going on. We're going to take it to the top down. Today we're picking up a new set of orthotics, all right? Now, this set here is a new set of orthotics. We did a 5-layer insert, 3 layers at the top, 2 core layers, 2 layers of EVA sandwiched in between with a polyurethane professional sport pour-on material, 2 base layers, EVA FM, and a A-core cork material. Really nice, kind of similar to our standard, a little bit different in the core, more layering in the cushioning. Still, we're at about 5 millimeters of thickness overall. Now, the old orthotic that this lovely customer has been dealing with is on the it's on the thicker side. So this is about 7 millimeters, 8 millimeters of thickness. She's had these, they're well worn in. You see a lot of compression in those metatarsal heads. Main issue that we're dealing with is with rheumatoid arthritis, a lot of deterioration of the second and third metatarsal heads, hallux valgus, and a major bunions between the two of them. So, what do we got going on? We got a new set of orthotics, old set to work with. We're gonna shorten the length up first. The main thing that we're doing today, we're not gonna modify the arch, we're not gonna do any wedging. We're gonna help offload the metatarsals, and I'm gonna do it in a way that the new orthotic is thinner than the old orthotic. Overall, we're just a hair thinner, particularly with the overall padding itself. You look at that versus that, big difference there. Now, what I did was I left us more wiggle room to make some modifications on the forefoot. So we're going to do a second and third met head cutout. We have this to work with here, and what I'm gonna do is get the cutout started. Now, for the cutout, because this is on the bottom of the orthotic, we can go with a little bit firmer, bouncier material. I'm going to go 4 inches wide by 2.5 or 2 3/4 inches tall for the piece we're working with here. And what we're looking to do is help offload that second and third met head. So we're going to start with this base piece here. Now, again, we have the old orthotic to reference, and when I'm doing this, I'm trying to limit as many steps as possible and get this in the right spot. All right, so we're going to start with this. Now, with many years of experience, we can eyeball it a lot of times, looking at the old to new, seeing where we have to set this up. It's a little farther forward. Okay. When you're doing a cutout, material durometer, the hardness, depending on if you're going on top or below, is really important. If you're going on top, typically you're going to have to use a softer durometer, because if you're adding anything to the top of the orthotic, it has a direct contact with the foot. We typically, in most cases, like going with an intervention or a modification at the bottom of the orthotic. It gives us much more wiggle room to play with material hardnesses, and we're going to cut that back a little bit more because that pinky toe is going to catch. Okay. Gives us much more wiggle room. Perfecto. Now, I already sat and worked with this customer as the initial point for dispensation, kind of felt the foot, felt where we were sitting, made that mark. So we got that in the perfect spot. Now this other one, we might make a little wider. Actually, that's not bad. We're going to copy this piece. So as a part of this pickup process, we're doing this on the spot. These types of modifications we like to do in the moment, just because we want to make sure we get all these pieces in the right area. Okay. So now we got the right side. Right side's done. So lefty. This material that we're adding to the bottom is called sponge rubber. It would definitely be too firm of a material for the top. But working as a base layer, it's a very slightly porous, spongy, rubbery compound. Works great for offloading. A lot of times you see me, if you stay up with all of this lovely Orthotic workshop live videos that I do, oftentimes I'll use cushion cork at the bottom. Cushion cork is that dark gray material. I use it a lot. That's probably a little too firm for this type of situation. Anytime you're working with a rheumatoid arthritis patient, you know, you're probably going to be going 20% softer compared to other patients, just because not so much risk of ulceration, but sensitivity, and we want to help the weight distribution as best as possible, but we always want to be sensitive to the situations. Okay, so again, we're limiting the amount of steps that we're doing here. Okay, we're going to get this mounted up. We're going to glue this up. Now, while this is drying, we are going to follow up whenever we do a cutout situation. We always want to mind the edges. We want to mind the edges when we're working around this spot. So we're going to build up in this area here. I'm also going to cut out where this deteriorated metatarsals are. They have a history of heavy callus formation, as well as pain and irritation. Not so much cracking for the calluses, just a lot of buildup, a lot of irritation. Feel like you're walking on pebbles. You look at these, and yeah, you can see some pebbles. So we're going to build up around, and then we're going to excavate in that area. Okay, so we got this glued up. Now, what we're going to do is, when we do a cutout modification, I typically will save the piece as a template. Now, for the material, I'm going to use a polyurethane-based material called SR Poron, Slow Recovery Poron. This is a Rogers Corp SR Poron. Works really well. We've been using EcoCell from Acor a whole lot. That's a great material too. But I've noticed that any of the EcoCell materials are, generally speaking, a little bit more rigid compared to this SR Poron. I've been happy with SR Poron, standard SR Poron from Rogers Corp, as an offloading area. So the one downside with this material is that it does not come abraded. I'm gonna go take it to the grinding machine. Come on over here real quick. All right, so we ground that up a little bit. Now, we have this as a template. When I do this, I'm going to draw our outline as is. Now, if we just do that template, it's not going to sit fully, it's going to sit on the inside. We want to expand it about 20%. So I'm going to go about 1/8 of an inch to each side, up and around. So we want to fill in this area really nicely. Okay. And we want to overlap around the edges, and then we'll take it and grind it down, which I'll show you in just a sec. So we got these pieces we're cutting out here. We're going to get the addition added on. We're going to take a Dremel, excavate the middle, and then glue the additional piece here. So we got a few more steps. Again, this customer's waiting. We're at 9 minutes on the live timer here, and typically I try to get this done in about 15 minutes or so. Okay, so we're going to get this glued up right away. You want to let the glue sit for a little bit. All right, perfect. Okay. Now, we're going to take heat. And if you look at the toe box, it looks a little janky. I'm gonna go trim that up. We're gonna do a touch finishing work. We're gonna add this piece, excavate, get the cushioning set up in this area. Comparing this to old, we're not quite as thick. I like to do a 5-layer insert when we're dealing with some real heavy callousing or rheumatoid arthritis. It gives you a little bit more wiggle room. If you want to excavate 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layers, you got a lot more wiggle room to dig down into. So that is, you know, something that's like super cool, you know. Not many people do this kind of stuff, so. All right, beautiful. Got her done, awesome. Okay. Trim, trim. We're gonna take it over to the grinder. Now I'm gonna round the toe out. I'm gonna bevel this real nicely. Whenever we do a pickup, I always gotta make sure the sides are too thick. I'll take you over to the grinder real quick. All right. So we got these pieces added. We have a nice area to excavate now. We're going to take our trusty Dremel and when we're doing this, we want to make sure that we're digging out in the right area. And on this time around, because we have pretty significant buildup of callousing and pressure with the RA, we're going to go down to that top layer, okay? Those were done. Those were done. Okay. So we got this cut out. And you see we got purple on top, we got the light blue in the middle there. We're gonna take this down. Steady hands is essential for dremeling. Soft, you don't have to be hard. Okay. Get close. You gotta be careful, you're not going all the way through. Okay. Now we got our toes sitting up front. We gotta make sure the edges are tapered really nicely. And we're just graduating those ridges. Beautiful. Yeah. Getting close here, folks. We're at the 17-minute mark, and we are humming along. Now, I already got the SR Poron glued up. Now, you might ask, Tony, why don't you just leave this open? And there's a few reasons for that. If you just leave it open, you're doing kind of that max offloading, but you're not giving any material for the bony areas to kind of compress down into. You want to slow those bones' progress from pushing down into the orthotic. So the SR Poron underneath is a really good material because it's padded, but it's a whole lot softer than the other 5 layers of material above it. We have our EVA, our polyurethane, we have our another layer of EVA, we have our finishing layer at the bottom, and then we have this sponge rubber as the offloading layer. Beautiful. Yeah. Sweet. All right, let's get this finished up. So once this is done, we'll be in good shape. Now, because this is kind of a weird area, you gotta get the glue all the way around, but you don't want to let too much glue pool up because then it's not going to bond all that well. So make sure you really glue it, but spread it out nicely. Okay, we are going to take a quick little break. I'm going to let this sit for a minute, and then we'll wrap this up in just 3 minutes at most. Perfecto. Thank you very much. Be right back. All right, so we got an F23 foot type. We have flat, flexible foot, relatively stable rear foot. We have an old orthotic, super thick, 8 millimeters. A lot of offloading was going on, but it was just kind of naturally set up. I don't like this style of orthotic overall. Good materials, but we can do things better. So we're gonna take the top down. We got our 5 layers of material. We have an additional offloading area. We did an excavation, and this customer has a rheumatoid arthritis situation and a whole lot of callousing and deterioration on the first, second, and third metatarsal heads. First and second, hallux valgus, or varus, and bunion situation. And yeah, this should be primo. There are some additional modifications that we can do, particularly with the rear foot and midfoot, that we might consider. This customer is just picking these up for the first time, so we're not going to go crazy on shape and contour and the arch area, the rear foot, or the midfoot. We're just going to particularly focus on the forefoot and metatarsals. Now, remember, we cut this a little wider, and it allows us to really work around that area, and then we're going to take it to the grinder and smooth it all out. Ooh, that looks juicy, Nick. Nick's right over there, so anyways. All right. We're gonna take you to the grinder, get you going, and get home, baby. Beautiful. All right, so we have the excavation point, and we're in pretty good shape. Check that out. Got a nice little setup there. Beautiful. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been a Workshop Live. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Ain't no better than Chiappetta. Ciao.